Welcome back. Now, June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, a time to highlight the unique challenges men face and encourage them to seek help. Joining us today is General Practitioner in Psychiatry, Dr. Almeida Schiceya, to discuss this important issue. Dr. Almeida Schiceya, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome.
Hi, Nina. Thank you for having me.
Talk to us about some of the key mental health challenges that disproportionately affect men, Doctor.
One of the biggest challenges that we have, especially pertaining to men, is the inability for them to be able to distinguish between stress and when they're actually having a mental challenge, say, for example, depression. Because one can only be stressed for so long. So say, for example, you're having a challenge in your life, whether it's a financial issue or a social issue or relationship issue, whatnot, that stress cannot continue up to at least 2 weeks or more. Because once it exceeds 2 weeks or more, it doesn't just become stress any longer, because now there's your loss of appetite, your sleep pattern is changed. You start isolating. You start, the things that you used to enjoy, you no longer enjoy them anymore, and it starts getting worse and worse until it comes to a point where now someone actually needs help, because now the last part of this tree is now suicide, right? So with men, it's quite difficult because their presentation is quite atypical. It's not your regular seeing them sad or isolating themselves or crying like you typically find with women. But with them, it becomes a bit different. So that's one of the challenges that we have, because typically, even if you see and you read the newspaper articles of men that commit suicide, for the most part, nobody actually even gets to pick up that they were actually probably depressed or undergoing some mental challenges. So those are one of the key challenges that we have in picking up the symptoms, because they are quite atypical for a man as opposed to how they present when it comes to a woman. Yeah, those are one of the challenges. Actually, it's just in the picking up of the symptoms, because they don't quite appear typically as to how someone would actually diagnose someone that's, let's say, for example, having a depressive disorder.
Why are men less likely to seek treatment for mental health issues compared to women, Doctor? What are the barriers?
Yeah, some of the barriers, number one, stigma. Number two, society in general. You know, men grow up with this, which is actually a societal problem, because we tend to see men as this, this protective figures that they can't break down, that they have to be strong, men don't cry. And you see this already being brought up from a very tender age. So because of that, to them it becomes a weakness. So men generally do not want to be seen as weak. So a man that would be vulnerable enough to actually come to you and say, I'm not well, or I feel like I want to take my life, whatever, the listener, if it's a fellow man, they'll just, tap their back and like, you know what, man, just be strong, you're going to get through it. With a woman, sadly, it will be like you're going to be looked down upon, because now it's going to be like, okay, you're supposed to be the one to protect me, but now you're here telling me that you're feeling down. How can I trust you to take care of me? But we tend to forget that they are just as human as everybody else. The same emotions that we have as women are the same emotions that the men have. But unfortunately, they tend to keep it in, and that's why at the end of the day, they've got such poor coping skills or coping mechanisms. And we see it every single day with all this gender-based violences, with this intimate partner violences, where they find out the partner is cheating or they lost their job, and the next thing they do is just commit suicide, because they just don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to process it. So it's things like that. It's those societal pressures, and also just the upbringing of the typical man child that makes it so difficult for them to actually seek help.
You mentioned earlier some signs that men show when they might be struggling with mental health issues. So how can we as women create safe spaces for them to speak about this and encourage them to open up about their mental health struggles?
First of all, it's important that as women, we should awareness. This is a man. The only difference between you and this man is just the sex, right? The gender. or the genitals or the whole physical appearance. But this is the same human being, the same blood that you have, the same nerves, every organ that you have as a woman is the same that's also having the men. So it's important to understand that they too also feel. They too also go through these challenges. Just because they're the head of the house or they're the men or they need to be strong, they also need to feel, because the more they suppress these feelings or these emotions, the worse it gets. That's why whenever they react, it becomes it's extreme, because now you wonder, why is this person acting out to such an extent when it's just something small? No, it's accumulation of emotions that were never dealt with, and they were never given the space to deal with, because we look down on them when they open up. So it's important for us as women individually and just as a nation to, when we pick up some of the signs, when we realize that our partners or our fathers or uncle are undergoing some challenges, it's important to at least make space or make room to understand that they too need to feel, and also just try and reach out to them respectfully, because the problem with men also, it's that ego, the masculinity, that once you look at them as a weak point, or that you see their weaknesses or vulnerability, they tend to shy away or become ashamed of what they're feeling. So it's important to just step out and just say, my love, my husband, my daddy, I think something is wrong with you. Can I please help you? Because there are multiple avenues available that even, with the Ministry of Health itself, most of the times people tend to think that trying to seek mental health assistance or psychological services, you need money.
Yeah.
The state has provided multiple avenues where people can come to the state hospitals, where there are psychologists and social workers available, where you don't even have to pay a blue cent.
Yeah, yeah.
There's Lifeline, where you have to call. It's a toll-free number as well. Should someone maybe not be comfortable to see someone face-to-face, but they're able to at least have a telephonic conversation as just a baby step. So it's important as women to be able to make that room and have that awareness that they too need to feel, and it's important that they feel what they feel so they can actually process it to be able to live healthier lives.
Dr. Schiceya, on that note, I want to thank you so much for joining us for a very important conversation this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nina.
The stigma surrounding men's mental health is slowly being broken, but there's still much work to be done. By having open conversations and providing support, women can play a vital role in improving mental health outcomes for the men in their lives. If you or someone you know is struggling, please do reach out for help. We'll be right back with our last conversation this evening. Stay with us.